to look back at the last Forge FC contest.
Simply stunning stuff!
And finally, their goal!
Here is Match and Review.
My word, what a rocket!
With Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network.
Hello, Forge fans. Wow. What a match at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. Forge FC York United played to a 3-all draw. And this match had it all. It was, I am guilty at times of what I like to call recency bias. But I have to say, I believe this was the most entertaining 905 derby in 4.5 years ever, since the inception of this league, since the inception of this rivalry. It absolutely had it all. And at the end of the day, we end in a draw. Forge FC probably kicking themselves a little bit and thought they deserved more. But so much happened. We have a lot to get to, and let's get to it. Now, remember, coming into this one, both teams had reason to find urgency. York was embarrassed at home by Forge 4-0 in the last match between these two sides. York also battling for a playoff spot. Meanwhile, not long ago, Forge was stunned at home. A late York banger secured 3 points for the away side, and that was during a period where Forge struggled to find their game. Forge also coming off a disappointing effort against their rivals in Calgary. Forge battling for a top 2 spot with the regular season dwindling down. So both teams, two rivals, hungry for 3 points. There was a playoff-like vibe around the stadium coming into this one, and it was certainly reflected on the pitch, especially in the second half. Big story, though, going into this one as well. The lineups. Not a lot of surprises, at least not to start, right? Tristan Henry in goal, of course. Matusala, Ashinoti Janssen, James Rama. On the back line, you had Becker, Hojab Rapport, Noah Jensen in the midfield. Up front, you had Tristan Borges, Taron Campbell, right? Not a lot of no surprises yet. But starting as the right winger, Benny Batty Banga. He's been with this club for, 10 days. He did see action in Forge's last match against Calvary. He came on as a sub, but his first ever start, played in the Belgian league. A guy with a ton of skill, a ton of pace, and it was on full display. Right off the opening kickoff, he made an instant impact, did Batty Banga, right off the opening kick. His pace was on full display on the left and right wing because, as we know, it's a very fluid look for Forge FC game in and game out. And the wings, we talked about it coming in, an area where York can be vulnerable because of how high up the pitch their midfielders play. So he delivered a pair of crosses in the first few minutes that had York on their heels. And the first thing you notice about Benny is that the man, he is so confident in his ability to beat his man 1v1. And even if he doesn't beat his man clean, his work rate on the ball is unbelievable. He's able to win those 50-50 situations as well, kind of those second chance opportunities to get by his man. And when he doesn't come away with the ball, he draws fouls. I mean, just the fact that he plays with that constant green light in his head just to go, it creates problems for defenders who always have to be ready for Benny on the attack. And, he also provides an extra option for assistant coach David Edgar on set pieces with Batty Banga's ability to take free kicks. I mean, you have Kyle Becker, who's one of the best this league has ever seen. You have Tristan Borges, who's a real threat. And now Batty Banga all on the pitch at the same time. So opportunities for some creativity. 20 minutes into the opening half, Forge had 63% of the possession. I mean, the pitch was completely tilted toward the York goal, and it was a matter of time, and it was a thing of beauty. 27th minute, a masterpiece. Now, usually it's Kyle Becker conducting the orchestra as the maestro. This time, Bex played the role of closer Ashton Janssen switched the field to Tristan Borges. Remember, one of our three keys coming in was just the fits that you can give York by switching the field and exposing holes on the flanks. Borges then on the right side delivers the most beautiful swinging cross you'll ever see. Becker makes a run to the back post, taps it in with a volley, making it look easy. Forge up 1-0. There was a moment in around the 39th minute, and I have to bring this up. 39th minute, there's a problem in the league right now that needs to be addressed with the officiating. And I know it's hacky to go after the officials, but there's one thing specifically. Referee is supposed to stop play when there's a serious injury. That's in the rule book. Now, yes, it's up to the referee's discretion. But remember, serious injury, that is fairly objective. Now, there is a little bit of gray area in what's serious and what's not, but there is some objectivity in there. A head injury, for example, is a serious injury. Essentially anything that would require medical attention. And the referee can use their discretion, but there are some pretty obvious plays. And when there's gray area, I think even as a fan, you get it. There's a gray area. You're understanding it. There's some gray area. But this moment specifically in the 39th minute, there's a free kick from Badi Banga. He drilled a York player who was standing in the wall, hit him in the stomach area. Now the York player goes down, but Forge now has possession in the attacking third, and the ref blows a whistle. You can't stop play because someone was hit in the stomach with a ball. I'm sorry, that's objectively not what the rule is about. And the issue is, players are aware of how easy it is to get whistles. So it's going to be exploited. And I'm not saying that the York player, and I apologize, I didn't write down who the player was. I'm sure they were hurt. I mean, listen, you get drilled with a ball in the stomach, you're going to get winded. I'd be crying, but I'm also very soft. That's why I'm up here and not doing anything remotely physical. But again, that's not a serious injury. Getting the wind knocked out of you is not a serious injury. That doesn't require serious medical attention, especially not when the other club has possession of the ball on the attack. That the whistle cannot be blown in that moment. So the Forge players, they reacted accordingly. But I mean, it's something that you can't. It's awful. I mean, it just slows the game down, and the fans feel it. By the way, you can hear it. You can hear the groans every time a player goes down, because that's what they've been conditioned to do, because a lot of times they aren't serious injuries and the play is whistle dead, and it just completely kills all the momentum. Anyway, Forge's goal could not have been more timely. Rain came down hard, causing most of the fans to retreat to the concourse area. The battalion, by the way, and many other fans stayed in their seats. Good for them. I would have been one of the fans headed to the concourse, because that's I don't like to get my hair wet. And so it's a lot easier, by the way, to play in the rain when you have a lead, which is why I say it was a timely goal for Forge. Going into half, Forge sitting pretty comfortably. I mean, 1-0 lead after carrying the play. Possession did get closer to being even. Forge at around 54%. Goal attempts 7-3 in favor of Forge at half. Just one shot on target each. But again, the story... the attacks, total attacks, 63-21 for Forge. So exactly three times as many attacks. But here's the big one. Dangerous attacks, 30-8 in favor of Forge FC. That's huge. Now, I'm no mathematician, so forgive me, but I got 8, 16, 24. Almost, I need more fingers. That's almost 4 times the number of dangerous attacks for Forge. But listen, they're leading, 1-goal lead. The rain's starting to come down, and Forge threatened in the opening minutes, seemingly with the game in hand. Again, you might 1-0. That's not really having a game in hand, but just the way that the half went. I mean, it was Forge was clearly the better team, and then the way the second half started, you thought, okay, I mean, Forge is comfortable. And in fact, you're looking at York saying, where's your urgency? I mean, you need 3 points, maybe even more. You're fighting for a playoff spot. But It happened. For York has the quality. This is a club that leads all season. They've been leading the league in big chances missed. So generating big chances is not an issue. The issue for them has been finishing. They did not have much trouble finishing on this night because while it was 1-0, 48th minute, York finds their equalizer. Kevin Santos from an impossible angle. No run up to the ball. He hit it with just the inside of his toe and curled it around Tristan Henry, who had no chance, went off the post and in. And it was just as the rain stopped but we were even. Brand new ball game. It's 1-1. And all of a sudden now there's urgency on both sides. And boy, did this game open up. It would not take long, by the way, for Forge to regain their 1-goal lead. 50th minute, Benny the Butcher slicing through the midfield. This is what he brings. Immense skill, zero fear on the attack. He draws a crowd. He drew 4 players as he just hung onto the ball. He delayed. 4 players came up to him. And that left Kyle Becker wide open on the left side of the pitch. He does what he does, deliver the perfect ball into the area. And the league's all-time leading scorer, Taron Campbell, scores his league-leading 9th of the season. It's 2-1 Forge. York, I feel exhausted even reading this because this is where you thought, oh, God, this is one of those games. York would not go away. Forge turns the ball over in their defensive third. Brian Wright fends off 2 Forge defenders, chips the ball over the keeper. A huge mistake, a huge turnover, an unnecessary. Not that there are any necessary turnovers, but there are turnovers that happen in safe areas. The turnover in your defensive third, one that should have never happened, and it leads to the tying goal. It's now 2-2. It got worse. 70th minute. Call this one a disaster. It looked like a disaster. Awful sequence for Forge. Error after error after error in front of their own goal. And it just ends with Mobabuli getting a free header despite Forge players being around him. Players look stunned. Crowd was stunned. It is now a 3-2 deficit for the home side. But it was that kind of game because it would not end that way. 74th minute, a break for Forge, awarded a penalty. Taron Campbell lines up, goes left to his left. It's stopped by De Rosario, but T makes no mistake on the rebound, hammers it home for his 2nd of the match, 10th of the season. It's 3-3 in a wild one. Forge would make triple sub. Malik, Kadeem Kane, Pasillas in for Ashton Yodi-Janssen, Borges, and Noah Jensen. And eventually Hamilton would find himself on the pitch. So would Dom Samuel. Forge doing all they can to get 3 points in a match they had to feel like they had just in their grasp, and they let it slip away. And it's a point. It's a huge point. But when you have the lead going into the second half, if you're Forge, the unnecessary turnovers that really put the club at a disadvantage, it's the kind of match that you need to secure all 3 points at home. And Forge was unable to do so. Final game stats, ball possession at 53% for Forge. But, these are some telling numbers. Shot attempts, 16-8 for Forge FC. Shots on target, 8-4. Attacks, Forge had 119 attacks, 56 for York. Dangerous attacks, 61 for Forge FC, 61. 15 for York. More than 4 times the number of dangerous attacks. This is a game where you have to come away with 3 points. And it's just a little more painful because it was uncharacteristic. Because all of York's goals came off of Forge mistakes and just ugly mistakes in their defensive third. And look, that's it. At the end of the day, 1 point is the best Forge could do on this one. With that single point, as we look at the table at the conclusion of this match, Forge FC, 30 points with 8 matches remaining in the season. They are 2 points out of first place. They are trailing Pacific, but they are tied with Calvary for second. So 2 points out of first, but Pacific does have 2 matches in hand. So a bit of an uphill climb. They got a bit of a break Friday night with Calvary blowing a 2-0 lead and losing to Valor. That was huge, by the way, because Calvary stuck on 30 points now with Forge with a match in hand, but that at least puts Forge still in that picture for a top 2 spot. And of course, there's plenty left. I mean, 8 matches are what that's now, you've realized math isn't my strong suit, but I'm going to 8 matches. You can get 3 points per net per match. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to times 8 by 3. That's 8, 16, 20, 24. 24 possible points are still out there for Forge. So there's clearly a lot left. York, with that single point, puts them in a playoff spot in that 5th and final spot, which would put them in a play-in game. So they are 1 point up on Atletico Ottawa, but Ottawa has 2 matches in hand. So York very much still fighting for their lives. And York also with a -6 goal differential this season, which when you look at that lineup and the talent and even just, I know Forge in a lot of ways handed them a point. I at the end of the day, I mean, York can clearly score goals and can clearly mount big chances and create big attacks. And they have some high-end talent on this roster. So for the team to be at -6 on the season is it's a little bit surprising. Let's revisit those 3 keys to the match that were set out going into this one. And usually you look for 2 out of 3. 3 out of 3 almost guarantees you 3 points, but let's check in here. Key number 1, bank on the flanks. That was the key. York plays that 4-2-3-1 style. There is a huge gap where their midfield would be, but because their midfield plays so high up the pitch, there's room on the flanks. There are wide gaps for you to be able to attack, and Forge did that beautifully. And a couple of their goals came because of that space in the flanks. Borges was wide open in one situation after Urciuoli Janssen switched the field. That was the first goal. Cal Becker, after Benny drew in 4 defenders all alone on the flank. They were there. They were exploited. That's a huge check for Forge FC on key number 1. Key 2, similarly, quick counter. The second there's a change of possession, again, delivering the ball into those wide areas, into space, and having your players make runs. Was it done on the counter? Yeah, you know what? That's a check. I mean, at the end of the day, they were still able to get to those areas, whether it was necessarily off the counter or not. Those are 2 pretty big checks. Key number 3 for Forge FC was to take away the 10. In this case, it was Mo Babuli. It typically is, but every time I make a lineup prediction going into a match, I'm wrong. So I refrained from specifically mentioning Babuli, but it was Mo playing in the 10 spot. And did they take away the 10? Yes, but not entirely, because while they did well just in terms of preventing York from building through the middle through that midfield and through Mo Babuli, who generates, who just links a lot of their attack. The issue was the turnovers. So it's kind of it's more of a wash than anything else, because you still have to be responsible for that 10 when you turn the ball over. They did a good job though in just stifling the middle of the pitch, but they couldn't minimize the turnovers. So they're not getting a full check. So 2.5 keys, usually that's enough for 3 points. This might be the highest number of keys succeeded without securing 3 points. 2.5 is pretty good. But when you don't take care of the ball, it leads to these lopsided, where the final score doesn't quite match up with the stats. And this is one of those weird ones. This is one, if you're Forge and you go into the week now, it's not a burn the tape type scenario. It's a definitely look at the tape, and then it's just more of a mental thing. In these situations, you can't. You're playing a rival who's just hungry for points, who is able to create big chances but has had trouble finishing this season. You can't give them anything. And two of the goals at least were just on a platter. So in that sense, Forge will be kicking themselves, but it happens. These things happen. It's not a reflection of the quality, the tactics. The nice thing about this result is that you beat yourself, so everything else looked good. Those are really minor changes that you have to make game to game, because as we know, this club does not make a lot of mistakes, not like they did tonight. So you look at it, it's a one-off. It was just one of those nights. And you move forward, and you were still 2 points out of first place with 8 matches to go. And again, the beauty of this league is that week in, week out, you are constantly playing against the teams that you are battling position. So no matter which team you are, unless you're just way out of it, your destiny is still very much in your own hands. And for Forge FC, I mean, it starts, well, let's run through here. Let's run through the final schedule here. Let's through the final stretch, the final 8 teams you're chasing. Cavalry, Pacific. They play both Cavalry and Pacific again. Both of those matches are in Hamilton. They're both in September. Mark those ones on your calendar. Huge opportunity for Forge in that one. And then the rest of your matches, when you look at it, there are no easy matches. But I will say this. The toughest parts of your schedule are in the rearview window now. You have a home match against Halifax coming up next. That is in 8 days. So that's what, next Sunday, I guess? Nope. That's in 7. See, I told you about my math issues. It's in 7 days. So next Saturday, right here in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field, Forge hosting Halifax, who, by the way, had a big 3-0 win over Vancouver. They are very much fighting for a playoff spot as well. Like I mentioned, they're currently a couple of points up on York. So they're going to be hungry, but still a winnable game if you're Forge at home next week. After that, you have Atletico Ottawa. Again, it's a tough opponent. Winnable. Then you play Vancouver. That should be an automatic 3. It should be an automatic 3 points. No excuses there. Then you play Calvary. It's a tough one. Then you're at Valor. That's a tough one. Home to Pacific. Then you're at Halifax. Then you're home to Ottawa. So this is I would say the schedule is very much still in Forge's favor with their home matches, lumped in with some winnable games against clubs at the bottom of the table, and the clubs you are chasing, you are playing at home. Still in a fantastic position. And if you're a fan and you have an opportunity to come out to the stadium and catch these matches live, I highly advise that you do so, because the season's winding down and every match from here on out is a playoff-like match for Forge FC, who really want to finish atop of the table. Not only do you get a trophy for being the first place team, for being the regular season champion, if you finish in the top 2, you get a virtual bye to the CPL final with the new page playoff format. So you very much want to be in the top 2, top 1, especially because then that virtual bye match, that's at home. And then also, if you make it to the final, you are guaranteed a home match in the final as well. So you very much want to finish first. And the road to first place begins next Saturday, 7:00, Forge FC, Halifax Wanderers. I'll be there. I want to see you there. Your final once again on this night, the 905 Derby, 3-3 in a wild one at Tim Hortons Field. Leading up to Saturday's match against Halifax, you're going to get plenty of Forge content, just like we do. We deliver almost every day. Mackenzie's doing her thing. Kyle Becker has a show now on our channels, the Captain's Log, so you'll hear from him. And I'll be back with you with the match day preview, teeing up that huge match against Halifax on the weekend. All right, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it doesn't rain like it did tonight. And we will talk to you very, very soon.
This has been Match in Review with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. For the latest on all things Forge FC, subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.